Welcome everyone to the Anatomy and Physiology Overview series. My name is Dr. Saadat, and I'm an educator with a passion for helping students understand the structure and function of the human body. In each session, I'll offer a concise and informative summary of the key concepts in anatomy and physiology. I hope this series will provide a solid overview and help you prepare for your upcoming exam. Today, we'll embark on a journey through the fascinating world of the urinary system. Introduction. Remember that cells in our body are constantly working, breaking down food for energy, and creating waste products in the process. So how does our body get rid of these waste products? That's where the urinary system comes into play. The major function of the urinary system is to remove metabolic wastes from the blood and direct them out of the body. Organs of the urinary system. This vital system includes 2 kidneys that filter the blood, 2 ureters that transport urine to the bladder, a urinary bladder that stores urine, and a urethra that conveys waste substances to the outside. Kidneys. Let's delve into the intricate structure and function of the kidneys. The term renal refers to the kidneys. Kidneys are bean-shaped organs located in the right and left upper quadrants of the abdominal cavity behind the peritoneum. Structure of the kidneys. Here are some key points about the structure of kidneys. Kidneys are surrounded by a tough fibrous tissue called a renal capsule. A medial depression in the kidney leads to a hollow renal sinus, into which blood vessels, nerves, lymphatic vessels, and the ureter enter. Inside this space lies a funnel-shaped sac called the renal pelvis, which is subdivided into tubes called major and minor calyxes. The kidney has 2 distinct regions, an inner renal medulla and an outer renal cortex. Cone-shaped masses of tissue in the renal medulla are called renal pyramids. Function of the kidneys. The kidneys play a crucial role in regulating body fluids, pH, and removing metabolic wastes. Additionally, kidneys contribute to red blood cell formation through the release of the hormone erythropoietin and regulate blood pressure via the secretion of the hormone renin. Nephrons. Kidneys are made of smaller functional units called nephrons. The nephron consists of a renal corpuscle and a renal tubule. The renal corpuscle includes the glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. The renal tubule, comprising the proximal convoluted tubule, nephron loop, and distal convoluted tubule, drains into the collecting duct, leading to the minor calyx, major calyx, and the renal pelvis. Blood supply to the kidney. Blood from the abdominal aorta flows into the kidneys through the left and right renal arteries. These arteries divide into smaller arteries and eventually reach nephrons. Blood enters nephrons through afferent arterioles and leaves nephrons through efferent arterioles. Finally, after filtration, the blood leaves the kidney through renal veins and drains into the inferior vena cava. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. This structure is made by special types of cells in the afferent arterioles and distal convoluted tubules. The juxtaglomerular apparatus is very important in regulating blood pressure and balancing electrolytes. When blood enters the kidney, the juxtaglomerular apparatus detects any change in blood pressure. In response to low blood pressure, the juxtaglomerular apparatus releases a hormone called renin. This secretion triggers a series of reactions leading to the production of angiotensin II, which constricts blood vessels, raising blood pressure. Additionally, angiotensin II stimulates the adrenal gland to release aldosterone. Aldosterone acts on the kidneys to absorb sodium and excrete potassium. Urine formation. Nephrons remove wastes from the blood and produce urine in 3 steps: filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. Filtration. Filtration of blood happens within the glomerulus of nephrons. Glomerulus is a special type of capillary that has small openings, also called fenestration, on its walls, allowing filtration of blood. The fenestrated glomerular capillaries filter water and dissolved materials from the blood. But larger components of blood, such as blood cells and protein molecules, are not filtered by glomerulus. The main force responsible for filtering substances through the wall of the glomerular capillaries is the hydrostatic pressure of the blood inside. Also, remember that two other forces act against filtration. These forces include the osmotic pressure of the blood produced by plasma protein and the hydrostatic pressure inside the Bowman's capsule. However, hydrostatic pressure is larger than the sum of the blood osmotic pressure and pressure inside Bowman's capsule. Regardless of the change in systemic blood pressure, nephrons in our kidneys try to maintain a relatively stable filtration rate by regulating the hydrostatic pressure of blood in the glomerular capillaries by changing the diameter of the afferent and efferent arterioles. Let's go over a few examples of how the diameter of these arterioles affects filtration. First, constriction of the efferent arteriole. While this might seem counterintuitive, constricting the efferent arteriole traps blood within the glomerular capillaries, leading to increased hydrostatic pressure and a higher filtration rate. Second, dilation of the afferent arteriole. This increases blood flow into the glomerular capillaries, leading to higher hydrostatic pressure within them. Consequently, filtration rate increases. Finally, constriction of the afferent arterioles. This decreases blood flow into the glomerular capillaries, which lowers hydrostatic pressure and reduces the filtration rate. Tubular reabsorption and secretion. Because the only selective mechanism in filtration is the size of the substances, a more careful sorting must be done before urine can be excreted. This is achieved by tubular reabsorption and secretion. In tubular reabsorption, fluid and substances move from tubules to plasma, while in tubular secretion, fluid and substances move from plasma to tubules. Urine composition. After completion of the filtration, reabsorption, and secretion, urine is formed. About 95% of the urine is made of water. The remaining 5% includes urea, uric acid, electrolytes, and a trace of amino acids. Remember that larger components of blood such as blood cells and protein cannot be filtered, so they should not appear in the urine. Glucose, although filtered, then is reabsorbed in the tubules, so it should not appear in urine as well. Ureters. The ureters are muscular tubes that connect kidneys to the urinary bladder. The wall of the ureter is composed of 3 layers: the mucus layer, muscular layer, and a fibrous coat. Muscular peristaltic waves convey urine to the urinary bladder, where it passes through a flap-like valve in the mucous membrane. Urinary bladder. The urinary bladder is a hollow, distensible muscular organ lying in the pelvic cavity. The internal floor of the bladder is triangular-shaped, called trigon, which contains the openings of the 2 ureters and the urethra. The wall of the urinary bladder is made up of 4 coats: an inner mucus coat, a submucous coat, a muscular coat made up of smooth muscle called the detrusor muscle, and an outer serous coat. The portion of the smooth muscle that surrounds the neck of the bladder forms the internal urethral sphincter muscle. There is also a voluntary sphincter made by skeletal muscle called the external urethral sphincter. Urethra. The urethra is a tube that conveys urine from the urinary bladder to the outside of the body. Micturition reflex. Urine leaves the bladder via the micturition reflex. The detrusor muscle of the urinary bladder contracts, and the external urethral sphincter must also relax. Stretching of the urinary bladder triggers the micturition reflex center, located in the sacral portion of the spinal cord. Once the micturition reflex center is activated, it sends parasympathetic impulses causing the detrusor muscle of the urinary bladder to contract in waves, which creates an urge to urinate. When these contractions become strong enough, the internal urethral sphincter is forced open. However, urination does not occur until the external urethral sphincter also opens. This sphincter is composed of skeletal muscle and is under conscious control. This concludes our overview session on the urinary system. I hope you found it helpful. Until our next session, take care of yourselves and keep learning.